best time to start investing would have been 30 years ago, but if you weren't able to do that, then the second best time is today. And in this video, I'm going to go over the only 4 things that you need to focus on if you want to be able to build a nest egg large enough to retire as quickly as possible. Number 1 on our list is learning the 5% rule. This 5% rule is going to give us the target that we are shooting for and the plan that we need to do to get there. The 5% rule states that you can safely take 5% of your portfolio every single year without ever touching the overall principal. So all we need to do is use a simple compound interest calculator you can find by Googling to reverse engineer the exact amount we need in order to retire. It's important here to be realistic about what your expenses will be once you stop working, or at least once you quit the job that you don't want to have in order to start working on something you do actually want to do. For some people, if that means you're going to be traveling a lot, remember, traveling costs a lot of money. So your expenses will probably double or triple. The other thing to consider is that as you get older, typically you spend less and less money. So even the person who retires with the intention to travel, by the time you get into your late 70s or 80s, you are rarely, if ever, traveling and your expenses go way, way down. So it's important to be realistic about what your expenses will be once you stop working, and you have to take age into consideration. So first, pull up a regular calculator and input the number that you expect will be your expenses on average on an annual basis. For this example, we're going to use $100,000 as your retirement expenses. All you're going to do is divide that by 0.05, which gives us a number of $2 million. This means that once you build up to $2 million, you can safely stop working, pull 5% from the $2 million every single year, and your account will never go below $2 million. This is because it's not just going to be sitting in cash, it's going to be invested in a way that will produce more than that 5%, which we're going to talk about in a moment. So now that we know our freedom number is $2 million, we have to use the compound interest calculator to reverse engineer the plan it will take to get there. We're going to assume an average compound annual growth rate of 10%. And for this first example, we'll assume 25 years until you plan on getting to $2 million. Because this video is about getting started with investing, I'm going to assume you have no money saved or invested yet. So now we need to figure out how much we need to contribute each year. If you currently make $100,000 per year, it might be a stretch, but it is reasonable to assume you could contribute 10%, in other words, $10,000 per year into investing. But we have a problem. That only gets us to $1,081,000 in 25 years. This is why it is vital to take 10 minutes and perform a few quick calculations to determine what you need to do to get where you want to go. As the saying from Alice in Wonderland goes, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And most people embark on their investing journey without taking any time to plan before they start, which means when they think they're going to get there, they won't be anywhere near their goal. This means that from here, we either need to adjust the amount of time we're going to be investing for or the amount of money we're investing along the way. But don't worry. It took 25 years to go from 0 to $1 million. It's not going to take another 25 years after that to go from 1 to 2 million. In fact, it's going to take just a fraction of that time. If instead we change our years for investing from 25 to 31, you can see that we get to $2 million. So just an extra 6 years takes us to 2 million where we need to be. This is the magic of compounding interest. The longer you allow your investments to grow, the faster it will grow for you. The slowest and the hardest part of the whole process is the very beginning, because it's going to take you 25 years to go from 0 to $1 million, but only another 6 years from there to go from 1 million to 2. But let's say you don't want to extend this any longer than possible, and you are working on some extra skills, you're making great relationships with your employers, you are gaining great experience, and you have a path laid out. You know you're going to start earning more money over the next 25 years. You're not going to be stuck at where you're at right now, let's say only able to invest 10 grand a year. You know, over the next 5 to 10 years, you'll be able to increase that to $2,000 or $3,000 per month. If you increase your investing to 2 grand per month, that's 24 grand per year. And you can see that we blow past our $2 million goal in 25 years. And in fact, we hit it in only 23 years. If we're able to invest $3,000 per month or $36,000 per year, we see that we can get to our goal in only 19 years. You will have to be realistic here, but play around with one of these compound interest calculators so that you can get a plan that you can actually accomplish with how much you need to invest every single month and how long it will take you to get to your freedom number. Okay, so you have your freedom number of $2 million and you know it's gonna take you about 20 years to get there, but you still have to invest the money. If you, like many millennials today, just throw all of that into a checking account, you will never get to your goal. In fact, inflation will be eating away your purchasing power faster than you'll be saving, which means you'll never be able to retire. You need to invest the money in a way that will net you an average of 10% per year at minimum. For your overall investment portfolio, you need to view it as having three main pillars. You have your stocks, you have your reserves, and you have your real estate. Historically, if you split up your overall investable assets into those three buckets fairly evenly, you will outperform putting all of your money in any of those single buckets by itself. This is because these assets are uncorrelated. So for instance, if stocks go down one year, you have savings to use to be able to buy those stocks at a discount. If you had all of your money invested in stocks to begin with, you would have no dry powder to buy more when they go down. For the stocks portion of your portfolio, you want to be invested in long-term growth stocks that have a long history of being able to survive and thrive through different government types across different countries, through economic booms and busts. If you want my help picking these stocks, I've published my century portfolio for free, where I show you my 11 century stocks that fit all the criteria I just mentioned. I give you all the stock symbols, show you my methodology for picking these stocks, teach you how to do it for yourself. And it's all 100% completely free, and there's not even any sales pitch attached. So all you have to do, click on that link in the description below to get my 11 century stocks. So stocks should be about 1/3 of your portfolio. The next 1/3 of your portfolio should be savings. And for this, please hear me, I don't mean cash. That would be way too much in cash. Historically, savings for thousands of years has been gold. So we're gonna have some gold, we're gonna have some Bitcoin, and we're gonna have some cash. Of your overall portfolio, I usually recommend about 20% in gold, about 5% in Bitcoin, and about 5% in cash. The cash needs to be in a high yield savings account or a money market fund that gives you an interest rate higher than the rate of inflation. There are plenty of high yield savings accounts and money market funds today that pay you over 4%. You definitely don't want it sitting in a checking account paying you 0.01. For gold, you either need to hold it yourself or store it in a vault that is allocated, segregated, insured, independently audited, and in a country without any history of confiscation like the US or the Bank of England. For your Bitcoin, you want to buy it and immediately move it off the exchange into cold storage, or even better, a multi-sig wallet. This mix of gold, Bitcoin, and cash is going to give you dry powder to be able to purchase assets if and when they go on sale. And it's also going to give you an emergency fund that you can rely on if you ever need to draw income, if you lose your job or something like that, without having to sell your assets. The final bucket of your overall portfolio is real estate. For many people, their only exposure to real estate is going to be their personal residence. And that is okay if that's the only choice, but it is ideal to have exposure to real estate outside of your personal residence, because then you can actually treat it like an asset. Many people look at the equity in their home and say, I bought it for $400,000. It's worth $1 million. I'm rich, but they have no way to access that money because interest rates, unless they go down a significant amount, they're never going to be able to do a cash out refinance and actually use that equity with debt. And they're also not going to be able to sell and move somewhere else because they would just have to buy a house that is worse than the house that they're living in order to afford it. And so unless you're treating the house that you live in as an asset by doing a live-in flip, house hacking, or something like that, usually it's not an asset, which means if you want real estate in your investable assets, your portfolio, it's usually going to have to be an investment property, or at the very least, some sort of publicly traded real estate fund. Physical real estate is ideal though, because it gives you tax breaks. You are able to leverage it better than other asset classes. It provides a service that you bring in cash flow for that pays down that debt, which builds up your equity. So with physical real estate, you have multiple ways of building wealth inside that one asset class. So overall, if you have about 1/3 of your investable assets going into stocks, 1/3 of your investable assets going into your savings bucket, which is gold and Bitcoin and cash, and then you have about 1/3 of your money going into real estate, this will give you a mix that will outperform any of those buckets by themselves. So step number 1 was figuring out your freedom number and how much you have to invest in order to get there. Step number 2 was figuring out how to allocate the money that you are investing. investing. Step number 3 focuses on getting you there faster. We know that you can only invest the difference between what you earn and what you spend. If you make 100 grand in a year and you spend 100 grand, you have nothing left over to invest. This means that there are 2 things that you could do in order to invest more. One of them is spend less. The other one is earn more. There's a big debate between tons of people about which one of these you should focus on, and the answer is you actually have to focus on both. The reason is because on one hand, you can only save your way to zero. There is a floor under which your savings cannot go, meaning if you earn $100,000 in a year, the most you could possibly save is $100,000. And realistically, after taxes and expenses, the most you could probably save is maybe 25 to 30 grand. On the other hand, a lot of people will focus only on growing their income, and then they just end up spending it all. They get on the hedonic treadmill, they get a couple raises, they get a better car, they move into a nicer neighborhood, and they're still living paycheck to paycheck, even though their household is bringing in $250,000 to $350,000 per year. And if you doubt that this is common or that this would be a temptation for you, just understand that 90% of professional athletes go broke within 5 years of leaving the league, and 90% of lottery winners go broke within 5 years of winning the lottery. It's because you can outspend any income. And so you must focus on spending less and consuming less if you want to get to your freedom number faster. But you also have to focus on earning more, because that's the only thing that will get you no ceiling. In other words, you could go from earning 100 to 200 to 300 to 500,000 to $1 million per year. You might have to learn new skills, get new certifications, start a business, do things you've never done before. But at least it's possible. But if you only make $100,000 a year, it's not possible to save more than $30,000 per year. So the key takeaway here is to focus on retained income. That is the difference between what you earn and what you spend. So you can spend less and you can make more. You should do both of these and invest the difference. And the last step here is to automate everything. They've done studies on the most disciplined people in the world, whether it was from diet or exercise or investing or participating in daily habits that they wanted to. And what they found across the board is that the people who looked the most disciplined were actually not disciplined at all. They just set up their lives in a way where they didn't have to make a conscious active choice to do something. That thing that they wanted to be disciplined in was just the automatic default choice. In other words, if you don't want to eat chips every night before going to bed, the easiest way to accomplish that is to not buy chips, because then your default is you can't eat chips at night because they're not in the cupboard. This is true with investing as well. You need to automate everything, because if you never have to think about putting money into your investment account, you will never be tempted to not put money into your investment account. If everything is automated, it will just start happening for you in the background. You're gonna wake up in 15 years and realize you're almost to your goal. And if you're sitting there right now discouraged, thinking, man, I did the calculations, it's gonna take me 25 or 30 years in order to get to my goal, trust me, I have spoken with countless people, 65, 70 years old, who didn't save enough, kicking themselves because now it's too late. Where you're sitting right now, it's not too late yet, but that time is going to pass anyway. If it's gonna take you 25 years to get to your goal, that time will pass anyway. So you might as well take the actions necessary to at least be closer to your goal by then. Because if you sacrifice what you really want in the future for something that you kind of want, comfort right now, you will regret it. So how do we automate this? Number one, automate investing into your 401k. This is the easiest way to do it. You go to your employer, you go to your paychecks, and you set up how much you want going into your 401k from every single paycheck. This is the easiest way to do it because you're never even gonna see it. It's not like the money's going into your bank account and then out. It's just going direct deposit into your 401k, so you never even notice it. Number two, you can automate transfers into your IRA and your brokerage account as well. This can be done one of two ways. You just do an automatic transfer from your bank account after you receive your paycheck into your brokerage account or your IRA. That's fine. You will probably still notice it though if you ever go in line and check your transactions. So a cheat code here is to go to your employer and set up a direct deposit into both of your accounts. You set up a direct deposit of $500 or $1,000 a month or whatever the amount is into your brokerage account or into your IRA, and then you have the rest of your paycheck deposited into your regular bank account. This way, you get the same effect of the 401k, meaning you never notice it, you never see it, because it just goes into the account directly from your employer. Most employers can do split direct deposits, meaning part of it goes into one account, part of it goes into another. Number 3, automate your Bitcoin purchases. This should be something that you do every single day because Bitcoin is so volatile with, let's say, 5% of the money that you're investing. I use Swan Bitcoin to do that, but there's plenty of services out there and you want to make sure that you're transferring it out anytime you get the chance into a wallet. Next, you want to automate your gold purchases. You can do this a number of ways. I like Vaulted, I like One Gold, I like Monetary Metals. There's plenty of choices to choose from here, but you want to automate it again so that you don't ever have to think about stopping. You also want to automate deposits into your money market fund or your high yield savings account. The easiest platform that I have found in order to automate both transfers going into your high yield savings account, brokerage account, IRA, and then that money automatically being invested the way you want it. M1 Finance is probably the best at this, but there are plenty of other great options as well. And finally, if you want access to my 100-year portfolio, these are my 11 century stocks that have stood the test of time and are poised to perform extremely well for decades to come. And you want me to teach you that stock selection method so that you can do it for yourself, follow along with the watch list for any updates. I provide all of that for free. Again, not even a sales pitch included there. Just hit the link in the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.